I used to be a very shy child, right? I remember even if I had shoes on that would clack on the pavement when I was walking outside, I would look around and say, oh, I hope nobody hears me. And that shy I was. Gave my mother, of course, she was worried, you know, because, hey, I was a little girl and started to be, in a way, independent and stuff. I mean, I really gave her a hard time, I have to admit, right? Because what I did too, like with 14, I decided, well, I'm basically an adult, and I can come home anytime I want. You stay in the house here, you can use the kitchen, you can use the bathroom, you have to wash your own laundry, you have to clean up your own room, you have to do everything, you have to cook for yourself, you have to do everything for yourself, or you abide to my rules. And cheeky little me said, of course, no problem, I'm going to take the freedom.
Now we know where my Yumi got it from.
Where who got it from?
Now we know where my Yumi got it from.
True. And that was, I did take a drug one time. It was a very, 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 very first time me ever touched anything called drug. And it was an LSD trip.
Mommy tried her very first drug at 14 years old.
No, little marijuana also or something. No. I had to start with a bang.
Or said that they weren't responsible. I said they were crazy and having fun.
Well, we were crazy, okay.
Exactly.
And we had fun, okay. And we dressed differently, okay.
Hey my lovelies, it's your girl Mel. Welcome back to my channel. We are here with Mommy. So now I already know, say it's another story time with Mommy. Story time with Mommy. So this is what? Part 4.
4, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, hi Mel's lovelies. In the last story time I finished my prep school and I was transferred to the gymnasium, as I was explaining.
High school, basically.
High school, yeah, exactly. Which should have been my home for the next 9 years. I was 10 years old at the time, wearing glasses, a little bit on the chubby side. Not fat or anything, but not very slim neither. And of course, I mean, all them time already, children had a tendency to be cruel. So basically, I met not such a nice time in my school in the beginning, because I was basically teased about my glasses and not so much about my figure, but I had a complex myself about that. I developed that. So what I remember, for example, early in the mornings, by that time my mom would be in her bed sleeping in the morning when I had to get up for school. I used to do my own breakfast and then get ready and basically don't even see her before I left for school. And then I remember vividly in our bathroom, we have a bathtub here, a toilet here and a heater here. Because of course in Germany it gets cold in winter. So I had this habit in the mornings to sit between the bathtub and the toilet with my back to the heater that was turned on most of the time, warm, and sit there and even cry sometimes, or felt completely lonely, basically, you know. And that was like my little corner in the mornings where I used to kind of get my strength for the day. Because I mean, after war Germany, a lot of people, was not a funny time, trust me, for children, none whatsoever. I mean, we had a whole heap of children around to play with, but it was not like nowadays where you could do this and that and the other. Basically there was nothing. You went to school, you came home, you went outside playing, and that was it. You know, that was your life. Maybe on Sunday, if you had a family that were church goers, you might go to church. So that was my start in high school, and basically, well, I made a few friends, of course. I had a very good friend where we lived around the corner, 2 houses further down, no, 3 houses further down. And she and me used to hang out in the afternoons for years, you know, and when, you know what I mean, best friend, you talk about everything I have. But she went to a different school. She did not go where I went. So I had that part covered, but I mean, going to school was not a really nice thing for me at the time. Although after some time, of course, I made some friends and stuff. So the years kind of passed on, and I was like getting into my teenage years. And at 12, 13, when I met another girl, oh, the good friend I had around the corner, her father did build a house somewhere else and they moved. So I lost her. And I was very sad about that. And then I met another girl. I don't even remember how I met her at them time, but she and me now became really good friends. She was living in a complete different area from me. I would have to take the tram to visit her and vice versa. And she went to a complete different school, so we had basically nothing much in common from that way. But for some reason we met, we clicked, and we became best friends. So when I was like about 14 years old, we started to make jewelry. You know, the silver wire that you can buy on a roll, and then beads and stuff, and we decided, oh, we are going to try out this, and we started to make earrings and necklaces. And for just remind you, at them time there was no way to Google or so, or you had YouTube. No, we had to figure out everything ourselves. And as it actually happened, it's like we saw some people on the street in my hometown that would put out some velvet cloth, like dark red mostly, or dark blue, and they had those jewelries on it. And I mean, we looked at them and said, but we can do that, you know. And so we went to the one liquor shop we had there with all those supplies to do that, bought it from our pocket money, and started to make jewelry. And we figured it out pretty quick, and trust me, we made some pretty nice stuff. And actually, we said, okay, what they can do, we can do too, and got ourselves a piece of velvet and went in the town and put it on the ground and sat beside it after school and started to sell. And believe you me, we sold. I mean, we made sometimes. I think the best sales we ever had was like $350 for one day. And then mostly it was like, sometimes it was just 50, sometimes it was 100, sometimes it was just 10, but we always made a little money with it. And basically, I mean, it was good money for us at the time. Imagine if you're 13, 14 years old, that was like big money. And but at the same time, I used to be a very shy child, right? I remember even if I had shoes on that would clack on the pavement when I was walking outside, I would look around and say, oh, I hope nobody hears me. And that shy I was. When with them time now, 13, 14, I kind of broke out. I became more self-confident, and the jewelry selling, for example, helped as well with that, because I mean, hey, I'm my own businesswoman now. So basically, I gained a lot of self-confidence at that time, and self-worth, and things went better in school as well, because you know, when you're feeling better in yourself, the people around you reflect that as well. So basically, all this little bit of bullying that they were doing and so stopped, and they would look at me with other eyes, and so I felt much more comfortable in myself. Gave my mother, of course, she was worried, you know, because hey, I was a little girl and started to be in a way independent and stuff. And what I did too, though, I mean, I really gave her a hard time, I have to admit, right? Because what I did too, like with 14, I decided, well, well, I'm basically an adult and I can come home anytime I want. And at that time I had some older friends and same age like me, and the same girlfriend. We were in a group of people, but most of them were older than us. So of course they would like, we didn't go really party, we didn't do anything bad. I mean, it's not like we took drugs or we were all over the place or so. No, but we would meet in one person's house and just chat and sit and have a good time, you know, and basically forget the time to go home in time. It wasn't even maliciously or so, but it just happened. And my mother was always so upset. And it came to a degree that she and me were practically quarreling every day. I still went to school, I did my schoolwork, I was not bad, I didn't drop out, I didn't do anything, like I say, bad. Well, once in a while I would skip school. That, yeah, I have to admit. But basically, I was not in any way in any danger or doing anything too wrong.
Well, she didn't know that.
Exactly. She didn't know. She assumed a lot of things, right? And she was kind of going, oh, and desperate and threatening me. And it really got bad. And then one day, what she did, basically, she looked at me and said, okay, you think you're an adult? What I'm going to do, you're going to get, remember I got half orphan money from the government, which was at the time 50 US or something. She said, I will give you that. And then she knew I was earning money with the jewelry, and you live off that. She said, you stay in the house here. You can use the kitchen, you can use the bathroom, you have to wash your own laundry, you have to clean up your own room, you have to do everything, you have to cook for yourself, you have to do everything for yourself. Or you abide to my rules. And cheeky little me said, of course, no problem. I'm going to take the freedom.
Now we know where my Yumi got it from.
Well, who got it from?
Now we know where my Yumi got it from.
True. So, it didn't happen, you know. Basically, I got that little money, I had my earnings, I was living, my mother was not allowed, basically, to tell me when to come home anymore. Which, of course, for her was the hardest part, because I know sometimes when I came home, she was still awake and waiting for me in her bedroom, you know. And once I came in, she was like, oh, she's home, okay, then I can go to sleep. So, basically, the deal was nice for me, but bad for her. Now I know, of course, you know, but at that time, it did us actually a world of good, too. Because what happened after a few weeks, not even that long, like 4 or 5 weeks into that arrangement, actually we started to get along again. We could talk, we could laugh, she had to really keep her concerns to herself, but she realized that I was not doing anything to the degree. I never came home drunk or on drugs or anything. I just came home a little bit later, still went to school, still did everything that I was doing before without her pressure. And so she kind of cooled down, still being concerned, of course. And for me it was like, okay, no, I don't get that pressure from my mother anymore, and I could approach her much better again too. So after a few weeks, actually, we even started to cook together again. And like sometimes I would say, hey, you want me to cook tonight? You want this and that? Or she said, hey, I did cook that, so you want some of it? And so we came back to a much more normal lifestyle together. So basically, me breaking out and being harsh on my mother at that point in time was like a good thing to do for me. Because, as I have told you before, she lost that child already. She was kind of overprotective. And I needed that form of freedom to build my own self-worth, my self-confidence, confidentiality, and everything confidence. And basically everything that a young person needed. And so, but I have to admit what I did. At one point in time, I was 14 too. And that was, I did take a drug one time. It was a very first time me ever touched anything called drug. and it was an LSD trip. So at that time it was like a big thing in Germany. They just did come up not too long ago. And I don't even know how I got it. So I think somebody even gave it to me. And me and the said girlfriend, it was a wonderful Saturday afternoon in summer, early summer. It was really, the weather was nice, everything was cool. So we decided we were going to take this thing. And to be honest, it was a nice experience. We had fun. We had a lot of fun. I mean, we were lucky because there are some people who take that stuff who get really off bad. But in our case, we had a real nice time. Seriously. But I mean, of course, I was very young to do that and stuff. So I remember, for example, one scene, there was this fountain and there was this guy sitting on the border of the fountain, and I was standing in front of him and being on this hallucinatory trip. He looked so weird to me because his top part was slim, and in bottom part suddenly got broad like that. And I stood in front of him and started to laugh. And he looked at me, what's wrong with you? You know, and I said, oh, nothing, but you just look funny. Ha, you know. But I could explain to him what was going on, so he was understanding, and he even laughed with me and kind of said, okay, have fun. So that wasn't a problem. But I mean, it was like then in the evening we went to some friends of ours who had a little garden party and had a fire going, a normal like a bonfire. And boy, a trip and fire, are you kidding? That is the nicest thing, because the flames look like they are alive, like they form this, they form that. And so I was just sitting in front of this fire, completely mesmerized, and loved it, you know, and it was like, whoa. And so that was my very first time I would have any experience with drugs.
So what did it feel like? It was just like you
feel lightheaded, you feel happy, your things distort, they look different, you know, but not in a frightening way. It's not like you say, oh my god, no. Some people have that, they get afraid, but in our case it was just beautiful. We were like, oh, just like the world around you changes to a degree, you know, but in our case it was all positive.
Okay.
But I mean, basically that was my experience. It was not like I was starting to take that drug now every minute. No, for me that was an experience, and that was good for now. I made that experience, and yes, okay. And after that first, it was not like I would like some people, they would maybe continue, but I was never that type to continue with these things. So
was it a pill?
It was like a little piece of paper, basically, where they would put one drop on it, and the paper would soak it up. I mean, special paper, like, and then you would just put that in your mouth and melt it down. It was tiny too. Or sometimes it was a pill too. They could get it in pill form, and then they would even have a little letter on it, because there were different form of trips, and then there would one with an S on it for sunshine, and one, I don't even remember the other thing.
So wait, they can specify the types of trips you go on? What the hell?
Basically they could at that time, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was an interesting experience for sure for me, and basically, like I said, my life changed around a lot. My school time was, the one thing I had a problem with math. So my mother paid for a tutor for me, and there was algebra. For some reason, algebra was not mine, none at all. So I would go there twice a week, and she would tutor me, and for the world I couldn't understand anything of algebra. Nowadays it's fine, you know. I mean, all the things. Right now I'm not bad at maths, don't it? But at that time there was like a block. And one more subject in school I did not like at all was Latin. Latin was so boring. It is so dry. You know, it's a dead language, because Latin died out. No, I mean, it's still alive in Italian, in the Italian language, to a part, in the Spanish language, Portuguese, but basically the original Latin that you have in the books is dead. There is nothing changing anymore, because every language you have in the world will change over time. So, little by little, especially the Jamaican language.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Jamaican language changes so fast because all the new words, sometimes in a year you have 3-4 completely new words that didn't even exist
But
before.
remember, they don't say Patois as an official language.
Well, it is starting to be recognized as a more official language. Didn't they even want to write the Bible in Patois, no?
I don't know.
I heard about it.
What
I
is
want to
wrong?
translate the Bible into Patois. But anyhow, so Latin for me was the worst thing in the world. It was so dry and so boring, and it is so interesting because throughout my life, my way of thinking, my way of learning has changed so much. If I had that ability that I had in later years, at that point in time, I
everybody
would
says
have
that.
been an excellent student. Trust
Yeah,
me.
everybody says that.
But like that, I just basically started more or less to drag through school and not through my lifestyle. That was not the reason. It was just like, it was just certain things were just too boring for me. Couldn't manage. English was okay, we were always learning. Then we had French in school as well, which I learned the basics, and then I will come back to the French part in another story time. But basically, those first years going to high school were kind of adventurous for me, because I was growing up. It was finding myself. I remember my mother, those were the hippie years as well and stuff. So my mother sewed a skirt for me one time out of like a patchwork skirt. Like almost down to my ankles with a zipper in front. And then I would wear one of these white blouses with big sleeves and stuff, and they still exist today, those blouses. And mind you, I had very long hair, I had dark hair going down to my bottom, basically straight. I didn't have curls or anything, my hair was straight. And I would wear those clothes and go into town, and one time I heard a little girl overheard us say, Mommy, look, there's a gypsy. Because I really did look like a gypsy to a degree at that time, you know, and I was proud of it, you know, I liked it. I was like,
well, explain what a gypsy is for the people who don't know.
a gypsy?
Yeah.
People don't know gypsies? Wow, well,
Not necessarily
gypsies
everyone.
in Europe are is a tribe of people that basically are not living at one place. They live they have big how do you call them, RVs at the time.
They live like in trailer
Trailer.
park.
No, but no, not parks.
No, but
travel.
they create, but most of them travel together.
They
as
travel
well, and
together
then they
like
create
in
their
a big
own
family or big
trailer
group,
parks.
and then they will go from town to town and stop here and stop there, and where they are, they will put up like their own little camp, and them time at least, and apparently there are two big groups. One is the Roma and one is the Sinti. And they originally they are supposed to come like from the eastern part of Europe, like Romania and these parts, and that's how they look as well. They are mostly dark haired and look a little bit exotic to the German eye. And of course, their lifestyle was very exotic for the Germans as well at that time, and so. I was kind of proud when that little girl called me a gypsy, you know, because I said, "Ooh, that's nice. I don't look like a German," you know. Yes, because I mean, at that time, to look like a German was not really my favorite way to look.
Well, I guess it was probably because you had like dark hair as well. Like
Yeah,
brown hair.
but with my blue eyes, no, dark hair and blue eyes.
Oh,
I mean, they mostly would have probably brown eyes, so that would set me apart still. But yeah, and then the long hair. I mean, not many people at that time had that long hair like me, you know, because like I say, it really reached my bottom and was really I mean, I loved it. It was much fuller than my hair now.
But for the people, there are actually like some reality TV shows with like the gypsies that you could check out where they show you how they live and stuff. And normally it's just like a drama show because they go out with beer things, and then, you know, they are brought up in a way that the women are traditionally just supposed to stay home and keep the house or the trailer clean, and, you know, have children and cook for the husband and stuff like that. So when they are young, they try to, you know, marry them off pretty early already and stuff like that. So
within their own group.
Within their own, yeah.
I mean, not group, but within their own world. Let's say call it world, because there are different groups, and then they would meet sometimes, and then they might intermingle with getting married.
Well, but not necessarily. They will stay within their tribe.
Yeah, I don't even know how to
right? Yeah. I don't know what the official term is, but like in their own tribe. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting. They still exist very much up until this day.
Oh yeah, they're still on. But the government, the problem is nowadays they don't have no passport, they don't have any papers, basically, because they are driving from place to place and country to country, and basically that causes a problem nowadays where everybody is accounted for and needs to be registered. Where to register them? Because it's not necessarily, well, the only thing you might have to do is to register them where they were born, but that means then within one family probably they were born in 6 different places, you know. And then again, what you need an address, a firm address in Germany, for example, it's obligatory, and you need to register. None of them have a firm address. Where would they get registered? So that has been causing a huge problem for all the governments in Europe, basically, and they have put a lot of pressure out for the Roma and Sinti to settle. And their main town is a town in France, in the Camargue, is Les Saintes Maries de la Mer, is the Saint Mary of the Sea. Is their how you call it, their
headquarters.
Their headquarters, if you want. And once a year, a lot of them meet there and carry this the statue of the saint through the town and have a procession, and it's really religious, very religious and very nice. And that is there, and then after that they split again and everybody goes their ways. You know, like it's amazing.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I was proud to be called that, and I was proud to kind of, like, the way I had been shy before, I broke out completely the other way. I was wearing some crazy clothes and sometimes used to walk barefoot in the middle of the town, and I mean just go completely different from your normal German, you know, and was very visible in the town as well.
A proper hippie.
A proper hippie to the degree, yeah, fine.
She doesn't like when we tell her.
It is not that I don't like it. I think there is a misconception about hippies. And when people say so, it always seems, nowadays, it seems like they try to put down.
No, you were
that,
just,
you know?
I think of hippies as the free-spirited people that just were, you know, crazy and just having fun. That's what I see them as.
Hippies could be very responsible as well, and they were practically the founders of the alternative lifestyle.
I've never said that they weren't responsible. I said they were crazy and having fun.
Well, we were crazy, okay.
Exactly.
And we had fun, okay. And we dressed differently, okay. And I kind of still, my spirit is still the same, you know. That's maybe might explain to a degree how I ended up in Jamaica and made it show here. Because basically you have to have a certain kind of spirit to do what I did and end up where I did, I guess, and survive it. So let's leave it at here right now for today's story.
So
and then
was that the first drug you tried?
The very, very, very first.
Wanna say there's something, yeah?
Very
Mommy,
first. I mean, I never had anything to do with that.
Mommy tried her very first drug at 14 years old.
It was an LSD trip. Out of all drugs. No little marijuana also or something. No. Mm-mm. I had to start with a bang.
Anyways, guys, that's it for today's story time. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you in our next video. Bye.